ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
The Padres' divisional showdown with the San Francisco Giants abruptly postponed because of COVID-19. Good evening, I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. The Padres released a statement earlier tonight claiming that someone from the Giants organization tested positive for COVID-19. Our ABC 10 News reporter Anthony Pura is at Petco Park with the questions all fans are asking tonight. What happens next?
There were so many fans excited to watch this game at one of the many restaurants around the ballpark when all of a sudden it was called off moments before the first pitch. Confusion at Petco Park Friday. Soon after the national anthem, players from both teams put on standby. ABC 10 News sports director Ben Higgins watched it unfold.
Both teams had lined up out on the field, and then all of a sudden everyone was just standing around, and you could see some officials coming down and talking to both managers, so you knew at that point something was definitely up.
Soon after, the Padres posted this message on their Twitter page. The message from Major League Baseball says someone from the Giants organization tested positive for COVID-19. Friday and Saturday's Padres games have been postponed out of an abundance of caution. Fans reacted to the news.
It would have been great for our city to have the games all weekend, but whoever in the organization is positive, you just want to wish their family and their friends and that person the best and, healthy, just everybody to be healthy.
This is video from Thursday's Padres-Giants game. Before resuming play, Major League Baseball says they will conduct additional testing and contact tracing to see who that person from the Giants organization has come in contact with.
We've seen some positive tests on other teams before, and none of the opponents have been impacted other than they can't play the games against those teams. So as soon as the series is over, they've been able to move on. I think that right now is kind of the best case scenario for the Padres.
The Padres are scheduled to play the Giants on Sunday as part of this series. As of now, that's scheduled to happen. Anthony Pura, ABC 10 News.
Anthony, thank you. Tonight's cancellation was the first for both teams because of COVID-19. The Padres and Mariners game was canceled last month as players protested racial injustice. So far, COVID-19 has canceled 45 games for 23 teams in this shortened 60-game season. But only the Miami Marlins and the St. Louis Cardinals had serious team-wide outbreaks. They're responsible for over half of all of the canceled games.
We really hope that this data provides the foundation to build, a roadmap to recovery here in San Diego that's based on equity.
The Chicano Federation is reacting tonight to a new Sandag study we first told you about yesterday. The study revealed many in the county can't afford basic necessities during the pandemic like food or rent. Nearly half of people surveyed live in the South Bay. As our ABC 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo shows us, the organizations participating in the survey now want policymakers to make change.
Some of this data really just it's heartbreaking.
The numbers show what community members like Roberto Alcantar say they already knew.
Because it really validates what we've been saying from the very beginning of this pandemic.
Alcantar is the chief strategy officer at the Chicano Federation, one of 23 community-based organizations from the Road to Recovery Coalition that surveyed people for the latest Sandag report. Over 3,500 people were surveyed. 44% of those were in the South Bay, the area hardest hit by the pandemic in the county.
We want to get a picture of what's really hurting our communities, and the communities are more heavily impacted.
1 in 3 of the people surveyed said they lived in a household with a high-risk COVID-19 individual. 71% say they had immediate needs like food assistance, housing, and employment. Other needs included a lack of health care and technology for distance learning.
While we saw that 80% of families, said that they had a computer available to them, 20% of families don't. So now we're talking about 20 out of every 100 kids do not have access to a computer.
The organizations say the issues stem from a deeper problem, lack of affordable housing, access to health care, and that many surveyed are essential high-risk workers.
We want to make sure that the rest of San Diego County really understands. Sometimes, we basically have two different counties here in San Diego, which is what's north of the 8 and south of the 8.
Now Alcantar says the pressure is on local leaders to create and push for change.
turn this data and this grim picture of our communities into real policy actions that are going to address the systematic failures that have put us here in the first place.
Laura Acevedo, ABC 10 News.
Here are the latest local coronavirus numbers. The county reported 361 new cases today, bringing our total to just under 42,000. 53 of the new cases are from San Diego State. There are also 5 new deaths, bringing our total to 730.
The CDC is making plans to distribute millions of doses of a coronavirus vaccine by late next month, but government officials have gotten these predictions wrong in the past. Our ABC 10 News anchor Derek Stahl is going in depth on 2 key moments in vaccine history.
If you're pregnant, I need you to come on this side.
Remember the long lines in 2009?
Who's next after I called her? What number are you?
San Diegans rushed out to get vaccinated during the height of the H1N1 pandemic, only to find there weren't many doses to go around.
Have patience and cooperate to ensure that the most vulnerable residents are vaccinated first.
The CDC initially projected there would be 120 million doses of vaccine ready by October 2009, then scaled back the projection to 45 million, and then scaled it back again.
Then to be told that only a certain amount would be coming out and that we would have to wait, it's a little frustrating.
Only 23 million doses wound up being available by late October, even though the vaccine was finished in record time.
The lesson of H1N1 is that you may make all the plans on paper, but the actual nuts and bolts of rolling it out is really, really challenging and to be underestimated.
The delays were caused by problems with the manufacturing process. A reminder that there are a lot of steps in making a vaccine, says Dr. Rahul Gupta of March of Dimes.
It's not just the vaccine, but also the syringes and the needles and the stoppers and the alcohol pads. There's so many other things that go along when we talk about a vaccine.
By the time the vaccine was widely available, the pandemic had petered out. Experts say there are also some striking parallels to what happened back in 1976. During the height of an election cycle, President Gerald Ford fast-tracked a vaccine after some soldiers on a military base got sick with a strain of H1N1 that immediately set off alarm bells.
Some scientists were telling Gerald Ford that this was going to be as bad as Spanish flu in 1918.
Get a shot of protection, the swine flu shot.
The U.S. launched a huge media campaign urging Americans to get vaccinated. President Ford got it, along with 1/4 of the U.S. population beginning in October of '76. But the viral strain they were worried about never spread beyond the military base, and there were rare side effects. Of the 45 million people inoculated, 450 people got paralyzed. A month after the rollout, Ford lost the election.
The lesson was it was so fast, they didn't have time to really go through all the testing.
Experts say it's normal to have adverse reactions and production delays on the road to a vaccine.
We have to understand that that's a process, and we learn as we go along, and people have to trust the process as well.
But doctors say it's a process that takes a lot of coordination, and there are parts we just don't want to rush. Derek Stahl, ABC 10 News.
And now to our wildfires as they continue to burn across California and Oregon tonight. At least 18 lives were lost this week as people tried to flee the sweeping fires. Portland's mayor declared a state of emergency as the fires continue to grow there. Tonight, an arrest was made in the Medford area where dozens of homes burned. The suspect is now facing 2 counts of arson. In the meantime, here in California, Governor Gavin Newsom said that climate change is the culprit behind our statewide fires.
What we're experiencing right here is coming to a community all across the United States of America unless we get our act together on climate change.
Nearly 3 million acres have charred in the state this year alone. That sets a yearly record with over 3 months left to go. Also today, Governor Newsom signed a bill which would allow inmate firefighters an opportunity to pursue a firefighting career once they've served their time. Those convicted of specified violent felonies or sex offenses would not be eligible.
Here in San Diego, crews are getting a handle on the big fire in the East County. All evacuations and road closures were canceled this afternoon in the Valley Fire. It burned more than 17,000 acres. At last report, it's 55% contained. 30 homes have been destroyed. A moment of silence and the piercing sound of a bell signifies the moment the first plane hit one of the towers of the World Trade Center. In New York, that was just one of many tributes that were held across the country today on the 19th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. At Ground Zero, Vice President Pence and former Vice President Biden put the election on hold to join the ceremony there. President Trump and the First Lady traveled to Pennsylvania to pay respects at the memorial of the crash site of Flight 93. And victims' names were read outside the Pentagon, where 125 people were killed. Nearly 3,000 people lost their lives that day.
And the USS Midway commemorated 9/11 with a special ceremony. New York Fire Department retirees of San Diego, they were joined by other organizations for this morning's event. They read the names of the fallen first responders, followed by the ringing of the bell as you heard. The event was streamed live on the USS Midway's Facebook page.